Yeah, we trust, and we can have like the direct conversations that
Yeah, and
others might scare people, or frankly, in this in the restaurant industry, I might actually make people cry.
Yeah.
If I was that direct with them.
Yeah.
And the other thing that comes to mind is I just read where somebody was talking to founders and CEOs, which are typically the same person. And so a founder is somebody who it's all about them, like, oh my gosh, the company would crater if something happened to them. Whereas CEOs build a team, they actually bring in people who can keep things going if something happens, right?
With as hard as life can be, I wouldn't ask to change a thing. Everything I've been through brought me closer to you. You were the
Molly Huyck is a woman of firsts, founder and CEO of AeQuitas Invest, and founder of Set the Bar, Omaha's first and only women's sports bar and restaurant. Through both ventures, she's helping reshape who gets the spotlight in sports, business, and community spaces. From expanding access to capital for women entrepreneurs through AQi, to creating an intentional gathering space centered around women's sports at Set the Bar, Molly is building businesses designed to open doors, create visibility, and bring people together. Welcome to LFG with AQi. Hello, Molly. Thanks for being here.
Hi, good to see you, Amy.
You too. And this is both of our podcasts, so it's kind of funny that we're like, hello, how have you been?
Welcome.
Welcome to our own podcast. So I'm so excited to sit down and talk to you. This has been a really big week for AQi. We're going to kind of get into that, especially because we have a lot of PR going on. Mm-hmm. But today I want to talk to you about your founder's journey on AQi and Set the Bar. So we're here in this beautiful space, Set the Bar. This is where we record our podcast. So before launching AQi and Set the Bar, what were you doing? Share with the people what your experience was and why you went into founding.
Sure. So I actually founded a business back in the 1990s. So I come from technology business, worked for a corporation, didn't want to follow the rules. I want to break the rules, be innovative. So I founded a company, and we actually sold that after, as part of that company, I did a consulting gig for PayPal. Then at PayPal, I worked there for 21 years. I still had my entrepreneurial spirit because I helped build 20 different call centers across the world, had teams across the world, and ultimately figured out how PayPal should serve 400 million customers in 19 languages in 26 countries. So it was super fun, met some amazing people, but kind of lost that entrepreneurial edge and spirit there. And decided to retire from PayPal corporate life. And before I did that, though, I had seen a couple things. One, at PayPal, I mentored a number of women entrepreneurs in different countries as part of the Sherry Blair Foundation. And that the Sherry Blair Foundation is where I learned that there's a $5 trillion gap in the global GDP because women don't have the same access as men to start and grow companies. And that was intriguing to me. I went down the rabbit hole trying to figure out why, what are the hypotheses, what's the real data there, and how can I be a part of solving that?
Awesome. And when it came to Set the Bar, there've been a handful of women's sports bars in the United States. I know you're a sports fan.
Yeah.
So what made you, first of all, were you a little crazy to do both at the same time?
A little.
Looking back, were you
actually quite.
Yeah, quite crazy. What made you want to open up this amazing space?
Yeah, so I had seen in Portland and Seattle, the 2 women's sports bars that had opened. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's fascinating. I love that. And then during my semi-retirement, I had the opportunity to go to Seattle, visited Rough and Tumble. The owner there, Jen Barnes, she's gave us a big hug. She's like, oh my gosh, Nebraska just had 93,000 fans watching volleyball. And she was very welcoming. And I connected with her, asked her, is Omaha big enough to actually bring enough people to be fans of women's sports and have a community to celebrate women's sports? And her advice was, if you don't have a pro team, it's really, really hard. So I considered, we have the Huskers. I mean, for all intents and purposes in Nebraska, Huskers are
And volleyball
pro.
is huge here.
For sure,
Yeah.
exactly. So you've got volleyball with Huskers, then Supernovas came out, and then I'm like, I'm going to do this. No one was doing it, and I decided I wanted to do it the way I wanted to design it.
Yeah. And I mean, not only is this such a welcoming space, but you designed it very specifically for women in mind. I mean, everything is counter height, so it's comfortable for women. The seats are comfortable. The colors are lively. It doesn't feel dark and like sports bar-y. So you did just a really fantastic job.
Thank you.
Yeah. And also it's such a welcoming space for the whole community. Like, why was that important to you, that it was an inclusive space?
Yeah, so our key values are innovation and inclusivity and community. So having a space where everyone can be safe, can be themselves, can cheer for whatever team they want, that was absolutely part of the core mission that I set out. And what's most beautiful is that people feel that. And I don't know how you can bring that to life other than creating a space and making it happen. Of course, I have an amazing team that brings it to life every day. They're the heart and soul, and I couldn't do it without them. So it's just so powerful to me when people come in for the first time, they're emotional because they have a space, and then they come back repeatedly because they feel safe and they can be who they are.
Yeah, that's really special. I mean, you can definitely feel it when you come here. So as you're building Set the Bar, we also have AQI, AeQuitas Invest, and I was your first employee.
You were.
What? So let's talk about me for a minute.
Let's do. I could not have done this without you.
I was gonna say, what made you choose me? And like, what's the importance of picking? So if you're talking to other founders, what's the importance of picking a co-founder or a partner that you can work with?
It's so important to build a team of people who are, to some degree, know more than you. I've never claimed to be the smartest person in the room. I think that's a huge mistake. I always think everybody should be learning and growing. When we had an opportunity, I'm like, I don't think I can do all of this. I need help. It was actually my husband who's like, hey, have you talked to Amie? I'm like, no, but that's a brilliant idea. I don't often give him enough credit for his ideas. But when he suggested that, I'm like, that's amazing. And I think you had been manifesting a new role yourself.
I had been, yeah. It took 2 weeks from me writing it on a piece of paper to us sitting down for coffee.
Weird.
So I think it went, yeah. Chuck is he's the antenna for all like worldly manifestation because he picked it up. So yeah, like we first sat down. How did that kind of go for you, like on your side of the table?
I mean, I was ready, from the get-go, from the beginning of our conversation. And I'm always like a little fearful that people are going to say no and like not a good fit. But gosh, I don't know, bringing you in and the grit and the like fearlessness, like we're going to get this done, we're going to make this happen. And you were from day one just so passionate about the mission and the why and like making a difference in this world for women founders.
Yeah. And I think a lot of women founders are looking for that other person. I've heard it multiple times, like I need an Amie, that's become like a verb that sometimes, but looking for a CTO or CIO, just somebody. For you, what were you looking for in complementing your skills, in your skill set, and how do you think that's important for a co-founder to find like the right match? So like you said, nobody's ever gonna know everything in the room at the time, but how does a co-founder find somebody that they can work well with?
It's a great question. It's really hard because I've had partners and it wasn't a good fit. So like finding the person doing the work to understand like, here's what we need. Like I'm a visionary. I have the big picture. I also can get into the details of technology and the other work, but where we can say like, okay, you take this, I'm going to take this. But we all have to stay aligned and bring it together and know those touch points where we have to make sure the other one knows what the other one's doing. Yeah. I think that's key. And you being relentless and a bulldog at, jumping in and doing compliance, even though that wasn't technically your first job, but you're like, well, we need to do this, and you have to have the attention to detail to do it right. You're just the right person to figure it out. Like you're going to figure anything out.
Yeah, that's true. I am going to figure it out. Like I have that, I don't know what we call it, delusion of like I can do it, but I've never failed at anything. No. But I think that's kind of like the need for it. Yeah. And I think in the very beginning too, talking with other co-founders, we, from the very beginning, I told you my most important things are communication and trust. And I think that really resonated with you because you had some like bad experiences in the past. And I think that that's one of the reasons why we work well together is because we have open communication. We have a good baseline. So if something like does get gritty, we're like, we know, we trust the baseline is good.
Yeah, we trust, and we can have like the direct conversations that
Yeah, and
others might scare people, or frankly, in the restaurant industry, I might actually make people cry.
Yeah.
If I was that direct with them.
Yeah.
And the other thing that comes to mind is I just read where somebody was talking to founders and CEOs, which are typically the same person. And so a founder is somebody who it's all about them, like, oh my gosh, the company would crater if something happened to them. Whereas CEOs build a team, they actually bring in people who can keep things going if something happens, right? So, and I feel like that's what we've done, and it's a more sustainable model. It also gives us the opportunity to take time off, and of course that it comes down to, like you said, the trust and the communication, and I've got this, and fill you in when you get back.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, I love working with you.
I love working with you too.
And for you, but I know you don't like to hear that. But no, it's such a great experience. Like I've really had a good year, and I'm enjoying to see. Like we just got our licensing. Our first offer is on AQi.
Yay!
We're got 2 stories in Forbes like coming up, which is super exciting. It's kind of like a dream. Have you ever been in Forbes before? Forbes?
No,
magazine?
I'm not.
Isn't that cool?
That's pretty amazing. I'm sort of not like hasn't hit yet.
It hasn't hit, but I mean, that's going to be the coolest thing. So choose a lane, set the bar or AQi. What do you think, looking back, was much harder than you expected it to be?
I think either lane, like it's way more work than one imagines. Whether it's understanding from the start, like how should we structure the company? So I did an LLC for Set the Bar, and I did a C corporation for AQi. Like why, and understanding the accounting and the tax and the corporate and legal implications of that. Then going to the team, like when's the right time to build the team? For Set the Bar, particularly like the build out and the construction and the timing of all that. Then besides the design, you had the menu design and how are we going to do all of this, the cocktail design, naming the cocktails, like all these little things that matter in the moment. Logos, right? So Set the Bar and AeQuitas Invest, like creating a logo that resonated, but also can create that kind of core to the brand that's really central to everything we do. All of these pieces, all the way through to like day one opening Set the Bar, and oh my gosh, what does that look like? And that's really scary. And are people going to show up, or are we going to have enough staff to deal with it? To all the steps for AQi, where it's like, the technology build, then the SEC, then the technology implications to making sure everything works. Like it is so much hard work, and everything takes longer, and it's probably a little bit more difficult than you might imagine.
Yeah.
Regardless of how planful or how much of a structured project plan you have, it's going to be hard.
You do really have to be tenacious. And I think to be a founder, it is always going to be more work than you anticipate. And I think that's why maybe only 5 to 10% of people have the personality type to be like a founder of something or an entrepreneur, because it's tough to do. On the flip side, what has been easier than you thought? Or faster or more natural than you thought it might? Well,
I think hiring you is brilliant and easy.
I love that answer.
Made my life so much easier. And the same for Set, like hiring our social media person has been a part of the team since day one, founder to some degree, plus the chef and the GM. Like, hiring the right people makes my life so much easier, and it makes the business and the customer experience so much easier as well.
Yeah. People are everything. We've talked about this recently in the press, the up and coming AI and how AI is taking over everything. AI is never going to take over customer service. They're never going to be able to have a machine at the bar and like make a cocktail and have the same experience as you with the people.
I just want a robot to clean the bathrooms.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that'd be amazing. Yeah. Like a Roomba for toilets.
Yeah. Like why we're so much time focused on AI and like making us all sound smarter. I just want the basic stuff done.
Yeah. No, that's totally true. Was there a moment where you feel like it stopped being exciting and it started being like really real?
To be honest, in March last year when we opened Set the Bar, we kind of were navigating some permitting things, and I'm like, I have to be open for March Madness, so we just opened the bar. But the getting the permitting stuff done and then actually opening, it was like, then I could actually enjoy it. I still sometimes get wrapped up in the details and kind of the frustrations and being critical versus I really have to remind myself to step back and like enjoy and be a part of it. And like, oh my gosh, I've created this space where people, like there's a kickball community of 60 people that were here Sunday and they come regularly. Like this is pretty cool. And people are meeting other people. There was a group that a number of different couples were going to Kansas City for a USA rugby game, and I brought them all together, but they all know each other now because of Set. And so just creating that space, the connections, the community. And I think that's comparable for AQI as well. We are creating a community of women founders. So we were the same for AQI. So when we've created a community for women founders, supporting women founders of people who can help them with marketing, legal, accounting, plus just having someone to talk to and commiserate with to some degree. Like that community is really powerful to me. And I think we're going to create one that's national.
Yeah, that's incredible. About your communities that meet here, one of the communities I belong to is we have Mahjong on Monday Mahjong, and it's so much fun. I think there's times that you're having 20 people coming in just to play Mahjong at the table. Has that been rewarding for you?
It is, and I try to not look at the door and actually participate and enjoy it. It is so much fun seeing everybody come up, and we know, like we've got the setup down. We know they're all going to be a little early. Those Mahjong planners.
Like a half an hour before you open, they're like rolling in with their stuff.
It's cool though. We get it set up. We play for a couple of hours, meet new people. Everybody that comes in to play is super supportive and also a great community.
Yeah, they're a lot of fun. Okay, so we're going into our LFG segment. So that's launch, fund, and grind. About the launch, what was the biggest mental hurdle that you had to overcome in the early days?
That's a great question. I think it was like, am I really going to do this? But I think I had already made up my mind that I was going to do it. I think
the audacity that
you're
like, I'm going to get this done.
Yeah, I'm going to do this. And then actually, but not everybody gets it, which is weird, to me anyway. Like not everybody appreciates you're doing something new and you're creating something that they don't necessarily understand. Even my husband, I call him a late adopter, getting him on board to support this. And now, of course, he's the biggest advocate and is, telling everybody to the point where it's like, you might not want to show everybody photos and the logo of AQI and Set the Bar, but
I love that he's your biggest cheerleader.
He is.
In the approach in the beginning for funding, how did you approach when you were getting funders for Set the Bar?
So I first went to close family and friends who I thought would be super supportive, many of whom were. Some, of course, were not, and that's fine. I don't think, I didn't intend for it to interrupt or disrupt a friendship. But I did figure out that, well, one, asking and getting money from people is not easy. But it's obviously trust. I mean, I've had people, I've raised for both companies probably $1.7 million, and mostly in Omaha, which is a lot, but it's also a lot of work. But what I've learned is that you really need to talk to people who align with what you're doing. So people who are more into arts than sports are not the right fit for investing in Set the Bar. That's totally fine. Maybe they are interested in hearing it, but typically what I've learned is they really have to be passionate about women's sports. Similarly for AQI, if they're not into, or they don't necessarily have this or have seen or are empathetic with the challenges of women founders, probably not necessarily worth the time, but certainly worth, bringing the awareness of the mission and what we're doing and why we're doing it to life.
What advice would you give to entrepreneurs that are starting their funding process or trying to get the funding? And how does AQI fit into that model for them? It's like the pick your heart. Kind of talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, so when you need to raise money to start or grow a business, it's not easy. And there's different channels you can choose. There's venture capital, there's small business loans, there's doing it on your own, and then there's crowdfunding. And any one of those is going to take a significant amount of effort besides having a business plan, legal documents, all of your structure already done. It's going to take a lot of time, a lot of effort, and money. You need to have some amount of money to actually do this. So you have to understand the pros and cons of each. You have to understand how much equity you're willing to give up in your business in exchange for either venture capital or crowdfunding. And then you have to, I would suggest talking to as many people you can, like test your pitch on other people, get feedback. Even if you don't want venture capital money, talk to venture capitalists, get their input and their feedback to just test the waters. Talking about it as much as possible is very valuable.
Yeah, and getting the community behind you, no matter which lane you choose, it's important to have those supporters.
Yeah.
Because it's nearly impossible to do it alone. You need the community.
You do. And you also need to strike while the iron's hot. While you have somebody, or if they connect you with someone else, like do it and don't, it's a balance between like staying in touch with them regularly, but also if you don't stay connected with people, then they will fizzle out and it's unlikely you will get them back to potentially invest.
Yeah, that brings up a great point about when you do have funders and you have investors, talk about the importance of keeping them up to date and keeping the conversation going, because I've heard from many VCs, they give a round of funds and they never hear anything again. And then when you're ready for your second round, well, guess what? You've let that relationship kind of fizzle out.
Yeah.
How important is communication for your funders?
It's extremely important. I think one, not directly answering your question, but your funders potentially become your customers. And you know, for AQI, our investors will hopefully be investors in the founders that we support. But the communication is key, and I was doing a great job early on, but as you get into the grit mode, it's hard to make the time to communicate, and it's usually that thing that falls to the bottom of the list. And so you just have to keep them informed, because whether you're pivoting, whether you're succeeding, whether you need help, it's the right thing to do. And regular communications will only help you in the end, because they will come back and ask questions. They will provide you the additional support that you need, besides helping with the awareness.
Yeah, and we have some really great investors, especially when it comes to testing. I know Laura is somebody that is sitting here with you the other day, kind of testing some of the stuff that we have going on. So it's great to have those advisors and partners too.
Absolutely.
That you don't feel like you're doing it by yourself.
Yeah.
Now, the last section is the grind. In your opinion, what part of entrepreneurship takes the most energy that people rarely see?
All of the administration.
Oh my gosh.
So
and the importance of partnerships, your legal, your accounting, everything else. Yeah. How many hours per week do you think you do the administration pieces of it?
Not enough, but you know, and I didn't know you had to do insurance audits. I didn't know you had to, you know, we're doing like a monthly review with our lawyer, paying the bills, making sure you have the right cash flow and doing things at the right time, administering contracts, and it's not my cup of, like, it's not my thing, but I probably spend half my week on that.
Yeah, and that can be exhausting.
It is.
So then how do you go from the things you have to grind to filling back up your cup? Like what parts of your business are you like, this is what I really enjoy? And, and trying to balance that out is important.
It is important, but it's also when I'm spending too much time behind my laptop and not connecting with people at set, or connecting with founders, or connecting with investors and talking about the mission and being a part of that, then I get kind of not super friendly, or probably not my best moments.
I think ultra focused. You're like ultra focused on tasks. Yeah. But I mean, that's our personality.
It is. But I sometimes just get fixated on things that are important, but they're not what we're all about.
Yeah.
And so getting out of the house or the office, getting to the space where the people are, that's what fills my cup.
That's great. So part of my grind at AQI is I have a weekly, bi-weekly call with FINRA. So it's interesting with, so you don't have to do that. But it's really interesting. So AQI is the first platform in the United States founded by women, 100% women, and working for women. And we're also the first FINRA partner that we have weekly calls with. So I have this really great relationship with Nancy. Hey, Nancy, like she's probably going to be watching this someday. And one of the things that has come out of that is I've been giving them feedback on their systems. And there's this broker-dealer, FINRA has a conference that had nothing to do with portals. And I'm like, can we do something with portals? And now Nancy has gotten one through. So there's going to be an online conference for just funding portals.
I love that.
So we're talking about questions and and content that can go with that. And the other thing that I got accomplished was on the calendar, it just says all the broker-dealer things. There's not a FINRA calendar. So I brought it up to the director, and I'm like, hey, this is kind of a problem for portals because there's all these things that we have to do, but we don't know which one is ours. And they're like, nobody's ever mentioned that before. Like, I will be your gal.
Well, those examples are how women work differently.
Yes.
And why women have a 2.5% multiplier when it comes to the return on the amount of money they make investors. So because you work differently, because you see these opportunities, and because you partner, you're able to make a difference. So now you're changing the world for all of crowdfunding as well.
Yeah, you're welcome, crowdfunding. Isn't that cool though? I mean, like it's fact that like dudes would never even kind of think about even asking about that stuff. I'm like, oh, like doesn't hurt to ask. And then now I have 2 things that I've implemented across the SEC and FINRA. I'm
Love
like,
it.
That's pretty cool, coming out of Omaha, Nebraska. As we conclude this awesome interview, what is the thing you really like to impart your wisdom with entrepreneurs? How can they support either AQI or Set the Bar? What would you like people to know?
So number 1, know that people can invest in small businesses. I think particularly in Omaha, but I'm sure nationwide, people here are very philanthropic for nonprofits. I would love for you to know that you can also invest in small businesses and startups to help grow the economy for the US, for the state. That's number 1. There's a direct correlation for women entrepreneurs who get invested in with women investors. So the more women investors there are, the more women founders get supported. I also think that I guess I didn't know that you could invest in privately held companies. So that awareness, for those who are naive like me, I think is also important. And then I would love for people, come to Set the Bar. If sports aren't your thing, then we have an amazing menu, a very inclusive menu, gluten-free, vegan, vegetarian, and there's always something fun going on with great people around. So.
Yeah, and Set the Bar is located in Benson, like Midtown, Omaha, Nebraska. Do you see yourself opening up other Set the Bars? I've had people ask me that. They're like, "Is Molly going to franchise?"
So I've been potentially. You never know.
Yeah,
potentially.
Yeah. Like big thinking. Like, yes, I'm going to take over the world.
For sure. I mean, I have a number of people have asked out both within, expanding Lincoln, maybe different parts of Omaha, West Omaha or downtown, potentially other cities. So you never know.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Well, where can people follow you if they want to learn more about either of your companies?
Sure. So Set the Bar Omaha is Instagram. You can go to our website at set-thebar.com. And for AeQuitas, it's AeQuitasInvest.com. And you can follow us on LinkedIn and Facebook as well.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Molly. I appreciate your time.
Thanks, Amie.
Sidebar for our investors and the SEC. Investing in Reg CF offerings involves risk, including illiquidity and the possible loss of your entire investment.
With as hard as life can be, I wouldn't ask to change a thing.